Welcome everyone to the Sci-Fi Queen podcast, where we celebrate all things sci-fi. If you're new to our channel, we ask that you hit that subscribe and notification bell so you know when our next episodes are, and it'll really help our channel grow as well. If you want to support our channel, check out our website that's scrolling at the bottom of the page, sci-fi queens.net. You'll find information on our upcoming shows. You'll find information on the queens and a link to our merch store as well. My name is Nita. I am your host. And with me tonight is Sarah, the Queen of Darkness. How are you doing today, Sarah?
Well, I'm good, but come back to me. You decided to pipe up as soon as I unmuted.
I got you, girl. Now, Tiffany, the Queen of the Nerds, is not here today. However, she did send in a video from the Galactic Space Station that she finds herself in today. Or is that just my sci-fi dream that one of us will be in a space station? I think it might be that. But we have a VIP guest tonight. Dev is here. How you doing, Dev?
Hi, Anita. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you here. Dev is going to talk to us about sci-fi and music, and he's going to educate us on that, on what that means, and the impact of music and within science fiction. And he's going to talk about so much information. If you have questions, put them in the comment section, and we will be there to filter through the questions and see what's going on, and answer your questions. And if you're watching after the fact, put your questions in the subject line and in the comments, and we'll get back to you. I'll go back to Dev and go, hey, we got this question and we want it answered. Because this show is about education. This show is about giving you information, letting you know what's happening, educating us. And that is what Dev is going to do today. He is our teacher, our maestro for today.
Yep.
Dev, talk to me before we start talking about sci-fi and music. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in science fiction.
I basically grew up watching science fiction. My dad was a big sci-fi fan. The very first movie I ever went to go see was Star Wars, and the very first movie I saw at the drive-in was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So science fiction TV shows and movies were always playing on the TV or in the background. So I kind of got into it at an early age and then never grew out of it.
That's wonderful. You actually went to see a sci-fi in a drive-in. I have never been in a drive-in, so a drive-in movie. So that must have been fantastic to experience for sure.
Yeah, the only part I really remember was the ending. I have clear memories of that, but I don't remember watching the rest of the movie. But my mom always told me that was the first one they took me to go see.
That's awesome. So tell me about your history with music and science fiction, because when you and I talked about this episode, you told me a beautiful story that I would love for people to hear, if you don't mind sharing, that is.
I'm trying to remember it. I know growing up, most of my music was like movie soundtracks, mainly Star Wars, Star Trek, all the different soundtracks. And the one that I had the Star Trek The Motion Picture soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith. I had that played so many times, I had to buy a whole new cassette of it. The very first cassette I ever bought on my own, with my own money, that wasn't a gift or anything, was the Star Trek 4 soundtrack.
Wow.
I like
so yeah, I mean, Star Wars, Star Trek, they have some of the most iconic music out there. And I think that for me, when the right music comes on in a sci-fi, it kind of draws you into the story, right? How do you feel about it,
the
Deb?
mood.
Do you, right? It does. It
Yeah,
sets the
exactly.
mood.
exactly. It's like you. I mean, can you imagine watching the opening of Star Trek: The Motion Picture without Jerry Goldsmith's iconic Klingon theme? It would not have the
Oh,
same feeling about the scene at all.
you
Right.
and I talked about that when we were
Yeah.
in our meeting talking about this episode. We talked about that Klingon specific music that goes on when they were coming into a scene, especially in Star Trek TOS, the original series, and in Generations, and a little bit in Deep Space Nine. Even in Voyager, in the few episodes that we had a full-on ensemble of Klingons,
Hmm.
they had this very distinct, specific music that was so amazing. It really set the tone. You knew the Klingons were coming. And you just knew. Sarah, how do you feel about the music that is played in science fiction? And how does it
Well,
impact your opinion of what you're watching?
well, I think it adds to the story because, like I said, but it can also, if it's the wrong thing, it can detract from the story. Like if it sets the wrong mood or it's overpowering, like say, I don't know, like say it, like how Strange New Worlds had singing Klingons. That's not like normal, you know what I mean? So like if they were like
Yes.
that, if they were K-pop Klingons all the time, that would not feel like we should be scared of these guys. You know what I mean? And that's not just them, but it's like even with Star Wars, like when the music changes, you know that the Empire's coming. Like you can hear
Yes.
it because it's like, oh fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and same with Star Trek. Like the music is like
Hmm.
sometimes it's ominous, sometimes it's like, oh, we're going somewhere new and exploring. Like it'll set
Yeah.
the pace and
Hmm.
lead you where you want to go.
Yeah.
And when it's done right, it's beautiful because then it's seamless. It just feels like it's part of it.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. There's been things, and usually they're B movies where like there's the movie, and then they add music on top of it, and it just seems like because it doesn't jive,
It doesn't
it's kind of like
flow.
yeah, it's just like what? And that may
Yeah,
be part of why
exactly.
they end up being B movies because they don't fit together right. So it's kind of like.
Yes. Yep. And
Um,
I've actually seen these lower budget movies without any music. And
yeah,
as good
and
as the movie is, it loses my attention because it doesn't have anything grabbing me. Doesn't have
yeah,
anything
and
kind
there's
of
these
keeping
long
me
periods of
hooked.
just silence where like a
Which is
nice overture.
horrible.
Well, even like a piano, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, or even some strings or just some low melody, something to like bridge the gap. Otherwise, we're just like staring at the wall, like, okay, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah,
Because I
it's
know
so
I know
true.
some of those B ones just they lose you so fast because it's like, okay, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
exactly. Exactly. Now, one of the most iconic, and I want to talk to Dev about this, sci-fi music out there is 2001 Space Odyssey, composed by Richard Strauss. One of the most, I think, intense sci-fi music that is out there. Talk to me about this piece of music, because I think that it's very, for me, as someone who has a background in music, and it is very alluring. It is very drawing. It brings you into the story, and I think that that's part of the catch that it has, right? So, what do
Yeah.
you think of the 2001 Space Odyssey?
I think I think though looking back on the movie 50 plus years ago, I think everybody when they hear that boom 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 boom, everybody thinks of the movie 2001. Um, I know I personally, every time I hear that, I always picture in my head the beginning of when um, the primitive man that's using the bones and it tosses up and it comes down as like the space station. Um,
Yes.
I would love to be able to go back to 1968 and see people's reactions to that classical piece being used in a science fiction setting, because we have 50 some years of expecting, or not expecting, associating that piece
Yeah.
with that particular movie. And I would love to see people's reactions back then.
Yeah. And you're someone who listens to a lot of these type of music. This is your genre. This is your niche. So tell me, I mean, what got you into the music of science fiction? Because being into science fiction can be about a lot of things. You can identify with characters, you can like the science or the pseudoscience of it all, or you can like the music of it. What drew you to the music?
Oh, well, I think the earliest thing I can remember about associating the music so strongly with the movie was every Saturday when I was a kid, my mom would put the VHS of Star Wars in, and she would want to stop it after the credits started. I'm like, no, you can't, because to me, in my head, the music was part of the story, and as long as the music was still going, the story was still going. If that made sense to like 10-year-old me.
Yes. Now, one of the most, and that's not just in movies, science fiction has an amazing array of songs and of musical composers that have participated in TV shows. There is nothing more iconic than Doctor Who's intro music.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter how many times they've adjusted the speed of the song, the octave, they changed the keynotes. It is still the same song, right? And Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who. That's what you're getting when you hear that. And I wish I could play some of the songs, but it wouldn't really be beneficial for us to play it because we don't have the rights to play that, and
Yeah.
they will probably take down our video. But I think that everyone who's a science fiction fan who listens to us watch Doctor Who knows that song. It is so amazing, that song. Okay, it is drawing. It is just right there. I mean, what is a good sci-fi intro song? What defines it to you, Dev? Someone with such a knowledge in sci-fi music.
Um, I would say, well, Doctor Who is a good example, like you said. You hear that theme, you're in for a wild ride. You don't know if you're going to be fighting the Cybermen on the moon. You don't know if you're going to try to stop the Daleks from kidnapping a dinosaur or something.
Yeah.
But
I love the
I
Daleks. I love the Daleks. I know I'm not supposed to, but I love them.
exterminate.
Yes.
Exterminate, yes.
Yes.
And
And
the
that's
thing,
another thing.
and the
Whenever the Daleks are about to come out, you know they're coming because that song is so iconic. That music that comes with every alien it's like the Romulans in Star Trek. They
Hmm.
have their own music. It's different than the Klingons. The Klingon music, I think, is strong and powerful. And, I'm here. And the Romulan music is more uh, covert almost.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
I
of
was
like
thinking the
I'm in
same
the
thing.
shadows. I'm in the shadows, right? I mean, the way that they compose this is amazing to me, you know? But yeah, I mean, then we have like even songs that you hear like from the X-Files or Battlestar
Hmm.
Galactica, the Twilight Zone. Let's take it really back.
Hmm.
Do you guys remember the Twilight Zone in
Yeah.
music intro?
Do 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 do.
Yeah. Don't sing
Hmm.
too much of it. They'll take us down. But that is it's so indicative to what's about to happen. You knew you were at
Yes.
the edge of your seat. But then there are sci-fi music fails. Talk to me about that, Deb. Talk to me about the fails.
Off the top of my head, I can't really think of much that I've seen or listened to that didn't really fit.
Face of the heart.
Oh wait, wait. Yeah, okay. Okay, Faith of the Heart. Yeah. Okay, I will admit
Yeah.
when its Enterprise first came out, I would record it on video because I'd be at work. I would fast forward through it, but now it's kind of like it's grown on me.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
nostalgic now.
yeah,
Yeah.
I understood the meaning
We talked about
after the show was over. I
yeah.
understood it. It took that many seasons for maybe I'm just slow, but it took that many seasons for me to go, oh, I understand what the lyrics and the show, how they combine. But I almost didn't watch Star Trek Enterprise because of the
Because of the
intro.
song.
Yeah, because I felt that all of the other Star Treks had this grand intro, this quite audacious kind of, feel to their music. And then this one comes into the heart, and I'm going, what's happening here?
Oh God, yeah.
yeah. And the
Oh,
thing
we
is
have a
though
comment
that
from Mel.
Mel,
She
yeah.
says she loves that song. I'm sorry, Mel. Here's the thing, I do. Excuse me, I do love the song itself,
Yeah.
but do I love the song for the show? I'm not sure that even today, as much as I understand its combination, mm, if I love
yeah,
it for sci-fi. So talk to me,
Mhm.
Dev. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
you're fine. Yeah, 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 Faith of the Heart. It definitely does not fit the franchise as a whole. And like you said, I it took me a while to understand the meaning behind the song and why they chose it. But it's like you see that song, you hear that song, and then you have an entire episode about dealing with cloaked Romulan space mines, and it really doesn't fit.
Yeah, what we mentioned before was that it's almost like a daytime TV soap opera song. That's what it feels
Yeah.
like. That's the tone of it. And I know there was a lot of fails with Enterprise, but that was the big one. Um,
I think that
I
was
mean
their
it.
first fail, is their musical
Yeah,
choice.
yeah, it was rough.
That was not good.
I'm trying to think of another show that has not a good intro. I
But
don't
why
know.
you think of one that doesn't have a good intro, and not a lot of them
Yeah.
do. Here is one movie that I think has one bang out musical moment after the other with the most perfect music for the perfect scene, The Matrix through and through. They have the most chef kiss music for every scene. Dev, talk to me about this, the Matrix music.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to listen to the Matrix soundtrack today, but I got to listen to a couple others. But
Oh,
I know, but
Mhm.
from what I remember going in my memory, because it's been a few years that I've seen the Matrix, I remember that music kind of that late '90s. I want to
it's
say electronic vibe or goth vibe. That makes sense.
it's almost what they call house music in Europe. It's that almost
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
like techno, but it's not hard techno.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember
Hmm.
from what I remember the movie. Yeah, it fit, and I apologize for not being able to listen to it today.
No, don't worry about it. But as a whole, it really did have the right songs for the right scenes. I mean,
Definitely.
I think,
Sorry. Um,
you
I
know?
think because I saw The Matrix in the theater like 27 times. Um,
Yeah.
I was, and
So actually,
I still have
the
the soundtrack over there.
The Matrix music is considered punk metal,
Hmm.
electronic style.
Electronica,
And
yeah.
I would say that that is an accurate description of their music.
Yeah, but that was also the
And
era because like Blade
oh
had
yeah,
that same kind of soundtrack too, and I rocked the Blade soundtrack. God, I love that.
yes,
Um, there was because I used to listen to because I was like Devin. I listened to a lot of soundtracks when I was younger when we could get them from BMG for a penny. Um, If you know what I'm talking about, 12 CDs for a
If you
penny.
know, you know.
You know, you
I make
know.
so money about that.
I think I still do too, but um, I used to get a lot of soundtracks, and I mean, like even the Armageddon soundtrack was a really good soundtrack. I mean, they have their hit songs, but like even the instrumentals were good because like the thrilling space scenes and when big things are happening, the music fits the scene, and honestly, I think sometimes the music does make the movie. You know, it
Yes.
it, it brings power and it kind of, because I know that they show them to audiences for tests with like different music to them to see how they respond to them. And I think you get better, when they get the right music, you can have $1 million movie or even
Yeah,
a
you
show
absolutely can.
that's out of the park because it fits so well and it doesn't detract from the story. It adds to the story and enhances it, enriches it. Sometimes the music alone tells the story,
Exactly.
tells you what's going on, and I like that. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And I think that that is something that composers don't get enough credit for is the ability to make you see or make you hear what you're seeing. And I think that that's something that is very beautiful to be able to make you hear the scene, to make you captivated just by the music that they're playing. And what I love about sci-fi music is most of the time there's less lyrics and more music. And I actually enjoy that. Because I'm more focused on what I'm hearing and the scene that I'm seeing than the lyrics that are coming through in the music. I don't know if you how you feel about it, Dev.
I agree. It's like that's why growing up, like I said, a lot of this music I had was soundtracks, and a lot of it was instrumentals. Jerry Goldsmith, John Williams.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to think, the composer he did the Star Trek two and Titanic and Alien. James Horner. Yeah, had his stuff, and all of it's like a lot of music. Like I think if they would have music with lyrics in some scenes, it would just completely ruin it. Like, could you imagine that battle between Kirk and Khan in the Mutara Nebula if that music had lyrics? I don't think it would look the same.
Absolutely not. I'm with you. Would not work the same. I don't care what the lyrics say. It would interfere with what you're watching, right? And
Yeah,
that's what I think the problem was with and Star Trek Enterprise, that the lyrics, as beautiful and as poignant that those lyrics are to the story, you don't really understand the story until you watch the show. And
yeah,
you really got to get into the show for like at least the first year for you to go, oh, that's the connection that they're trying to make with these lyrics. And it takes away, I think, from what you're watching and the whole sensory experience. I think
yeah,
that that's something that is important to sci-fi watchers is the sensory experience, is the visual and the audio. I watched today Fantastic Four on Disney Plus, and the audio of the music and what I was seeing, the fight scenes, it made it more intense because there was no lyrics. It was all just this power music. And I love that. I absolutely love it.
So I have to tell you, I Googled bad sci-fi theme songs or intros. Faith of the Heart was the top one.
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry, Mel, but
I know you love it, Mel, but like the internet has
yeah,
spoken.
the
I'm curious what
internet
number
has
two is
broken.
now.
Oh, give us what you found, Sarah. Give us what you found.
Well, no, it said that so Faith of the Heart, and then it said the theme Flash from Flash Gordon in 1980 from the
Oh,
movie, the
yes,
Queen song.
agreed.
That
Agreed.
one was really bad. Um,
I
and then
like the
there was some
song.
other.
The movie was terrible in my opinion.
That's the
Yeah,
thing that the song by itself could be fantastic,
Yeah.
But putting it together with the wrong science fiction is
Yeah.
disastrous.
Well, and then they just said that there were so many, and then so many of the 80s shows, sci-fi shows, sound awful now because they relied so heavily on synthesizers in the 80s. So it doesn't,
Yep.
it's more like, it's almost robotic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
That it's, I mean, that was part of the feel, but like when you go back and look at it now, like there's so many other options. Why did you go with that? You know,
Exactly.
but yeah, those were the top two were those two terrible
Yep,
ones.
those are the top two for sure. I mean, and I think that that makes sense
Mm,
because, the wrong music can make or break
Yeah.
yeah.
the
Well,
actual
that's
episode.
like when they went to Queen to ask them for to record the theme song for the Highlander movies
Yes.
and the TV show that they enjoyed it so much that they recorded like 10 songs. They only asked them for one, but they like took it and ran with it because they enjoyed it. And I was like,
And let me tell you
that was
something.
kind
I
of neat.
loved Highlander. I'm a big Highlander fan. I know
I
there's a
cannot wait for
possible
the reboot
reboot. I can't wait
with
for
our
the
boy.
reboot.
Oh, with Henry.
Yes.
Oh, I cannot
Yes.
wait.
Let's not even go there.
I mean, I
But,
still love my
but
old
I'm
Highlander, but yeah,
absolutely, but I am kind of wondering what they're gonna do with the music because I think that Highlander is one of those shows that needs the music, needs the sound, needs
yeah.
the audio to kind of give you that audio sense of what's happening.
So I wonder if
And
they
I
might
think it's important.
re-record the songs with a new
With,
artist.
yeah, they
Um,
could, and I think that. Deb, what do you think? You think that's a good idea
well,
or a bad idea?
but I was going to say, the last Highlander movie set in the series timeline was Highlander: The Source, I think it was, and they did a cover of Princess of the Universe,
Hmm.
and it was
Hmm.
terrible. I mean, it was a bad movie in my opinion, but whoever did the cover, they totally butchered the song,
Is
and
is
I
that the
kind of
one with
hope it.
Mario Van Peebles in it?
No, that's the third one. This was the one that was like, I think this one was a direct to Sci-Fi Channel movie, if I remember right. But it had
No
the
wonder I haven't seen
but
it.
had Adrian Paul in it as Duncan.
Okay,
But Queen
okay,
does have a new lead singer. The band is still called Queen, and he's really good. So I think that he might do the song some justice.
Yeah, if Queen does a remake of their own song, I'd be good with that. Just
Mhm.
don't hire the person who did it for the last one because it was terrible.
No, no. They have their own lead singer now, who's actually pretty terrific. Um,
that's good.
I could really hold his own in the band. I think that he didn't come in like how sometimes they bring these new uh
The new blood
vocalists
in.
and they're trying to mimic the old vocalist.
Yeah,
I don't feel that he's doing that. I think he's bringing his own sound, which is really unique and different and good, and I think it works. So I think that if they use those vocals, that person's vocals to do the soundtrack, it will be great. But if they could come up with some new songs, I'm down with that too. I am good with the
Hmm.
old and the new.
Yes.
you know, because that's one show that needs vocals because the vocals
Yeah.
in the original song drew you into the story. It sort of
Right.
was the prologue of the movie. The song was the prologue of the movie. You knew what was happening because of this song. But when they have songs that aren't really clear to what it is that's happening until 2 seasons later, hello, Star
yeah.
Trek Enterprise, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's better if they have the people write the songs exclusively for the movie because it fits a
Yes.
lot better. Because what comes to mind is Ghostbusters. The song "Clean Up
Yes.
the Town." It I'm 99% sure they made that specifically for Ghostbusters because they mentioned the
Mhm.
Ghostbusters in the song. It really fits where if they would have taken some other song that was popular in the early '80s and put in, it may not have worked that scene as well.
I gotta agree with Mel. Disturb would make an incredible, great cover for Highlander, but I'll go a step further. Disturb could do the entire music for the new Highlander with new lyrics, and I think they will hit the nail on the head immediately. I mean,
Yeah,
their
I'd be
lead
okay.
singer
I'd be okay with
is a
that.
Yeah.
fantastic writer and performer. So I think that he would do great. Um, yeah, and that song worked so well because it was written exclusively for this
The
show,
show.
right? It
Yes.
was so perfect. And you're right, Deb. When they're writing songs that is exclusively for the show or the movie, it works because what you're in essence doing is a prologue to
Right.
what's about to happen. This is your audio trailer, your musical trailer to what's going to happen. And I think that that's something that works really well. And in science fiction movies, it's challenging because you've got the sci-fi element to it. Um, Now, Dev, do you listen to non-sci-fi um, soundtracks as well as sci-fi soundtracks?
Oh yeah. I've got
So
a.
what's the
Uh,
difference here? What's the difference between them?
oh. Well, as I said, for example, the first one comes to mind is I still listen to the Wayne's World soundtrack from '91, and that is that. I mean, there is absolutely no way any of those songs could even be remotely considered for a sci-fi movie, but they're great for contemporary movies or comedies and whatnot. And then you have some. There's some like I have the soundtrack too, and I don't like the movie, but I like the soundtrack, like the David Lynch movie Lost Highway. Thought the movie was really confusing, but I really love the soundtrack, and I still have it somewhere here.
Now, David Lynch's stuff is very confusing. You really have to pay attention. And sometimes even then you don't know what the hell's going on. I think it was what, 5 seasons into Twin Peaks before we knew what was happening?
That's so true. See, that's another example. It may not be a sci-fi example, but it's another
Well, I mean, it
example
is.
of
There's all sorts of weird sci-fi stuff in Twin Peaks. I
yeah.
mean, it was weird. But
But
yeah.
but it's an example of music not matching the storyline, and
Hmm.
I think, and I don't know how either of you feel, but I think that that happens a lot when the music is not written exclusively for that particular movie or
Hmm.
TV show. How do you guys feel about that?
I think
I
I think sometimes once in a while they'll find like a song out there that really works. Was like Doctor Who, David Tennant's first run, the episode where the Master takes over and the Doctor ages to like really old. They use a song for the Master. It's called "I Can't Decide" by a band called Scissor Sisters, and that really worked. And because it's talking about how I can't decide if you should live or die, which is basically the whole Doctor Master relationship, that can work, but they could have easily have picked something that would not have fit that moment, would not have fit that version of the Master or that version of the Doctor.
Exactly. Absolutely. I think that, it's wonderful that in science fiction, TV shows and movies, we don't just get the fashion, the pseudoscience, the sci-fi science, the real
hmm
science, the great actors. Because I mean, in sci-fi, you will find actors that have been stage actors, who've been in Broadway,
yes.
who've done Macbeth and Shakespeare.
Can I put Mel's
We
comment up?
all Yes, put that on. Beastie
Oh,
Boys in Star Trek.
yeah.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think that one of the things that isn't spoken about enough is the great musics that have been composed specifically for sci-fi, but
Hmm.
also the music that has been utilized for sci-fi movies and TV shows. And I think that this is something that it's beautiful and appreciative. There is room for everyone and every place in science fiction. Whether
Mhm.
that is you like romance, we've got sci-fi romance. You like mystery, we got sci-fi mysteries. We have
Yeah.
sci-fi everything. Give me a genre, give me an area, and I guarantee you that I'm gonna find a movie or a TV show that has some of that in there,
Yeah.
because sci-fi is the most open and welcoming genre that there is. And I think that having great music is amazing. And that's something that I appreciate so much. And it really does, like Sarah says, make or break what you're watching and influences you for sure.
Mhm.
Um, so before we move on to segments, Deb, do you have anything that you want to say to us? Anything you want to share
Or add. Yeah.
or
Well, I will
add?
say, we're talking about science fiction music and music composed. I found out, I mean, that this might be something not new to you guys, but I found out the other day that Jerry Goldsmith, who did the music for Star Trek: The Motion Picture,
Yes.
also did the music for Gremlins. I did not realize that was
What?
him until a few days ago.
And Gremlin got great music.
Yep, yep. He did the score for Gremlins, and I did not know that till like the other day.
Yes. If you
Well,
are
that's
a
like
musician,
it's like a good composer can make like how Tim Burton uses Danny Elfman, and like that that music is gonna fit Tim Burton's vibe, and
yes.
no matter, and he's gonna go through it and he's gonna make it work, and it's there's certain composers and like that they're gonna work well with a director, but they do other stuff too. But like when they work together with a certain director, it really makes something, and it makes it beautiful and bigger and better, and then they have these epic soundtracks, and it just like if you can fall in love with a movie and you like the music, that's amazing because not only do you have the movie to watch, but you have the soundtrack to watch. Like I remember being a kid, and I know it's not super sci-fi, but I had the soundtrack to Aladdin, and I listened to that so much. And but it's like, and I mean, I was Leah's age. I was 10 or 11, and I enjoyed it. And I mean, there was a lot of instrumental stuff, like when they're walking across the desert, but because you can hear the music, you can see the movie without seeing it. Does that make sense? You know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
Yes.
yeah,
So
exactly.
Absolutely. I think
that's
that it these the animes are in the animated movies are a perfect example of what music can do for a movie, because there are amazing soundtracks in all of these movies. I mean, who doesn't love Finding Nemo soundtrack? Is that just me? Because I do love Finding Nemo soundtrack. I I love the music that they had there. I love the storyline. And the writing can be great, the story can be great, the animation, the acting can be great. But if you are left with no power music, music changes everything. Changes your mood, it changes your perspective on things, it gives you a message. It is so like sci-fi, okay?
Mhm.
And I think it's so important to appreciate these composers and the musicians behind the music as well, because I think that they're just underappreciated in the movie industry and the TV industry for sure.
Yeah.
But we are going to move on to uh, our next segment, which is the real scientist, and Sarah's going to give us some new information. Take it away, Sarah.
Okay. This week we have Indre Viscontis. She is a Lithuanian-Canadian neuroscientist and operatic soprano. Born to a choral conductor, she sang in choirs since she was 5 years old. She has studied opera since she was a young child and performed for the Canadian Opera Company when she was only 11 years old. Viscontis has performed as a soprano for numerous roles. She is a soloist with the San Francisco Chamber Group and is the co-founder and director of Vocalective, an organization of musicians that promotes the art of vocal chamber music. Indre is also a co-founder of Opera on Tap, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to make opera as ubiquitous and accessible as pop music. And it's pretty cool. I looked into it today. Uh, she continued to study music through her life, even while working towards her PhD in neuroscience. Combining a passion for music and scientific curiosity, she works at the intersection of art and science. She has published more than 50 original papers and chapters related to neural bias of memory and creativity. Her scientific work has been featured in many publications. She has also written for MotherJones.com, American Scientist, Vitriol Magazine, and other publications. Her first book, How Music Can Make You Better, was published by Chronicle Books in April 2019 and within a week was a best-selling music appreciation book on Amazon. She also serves as the Director of Communications for the Sound Health Network, an initiative promoting research and public awareness of the impact of music on health and well-being. Upon receiving her PhD in cognitive neuroscience from the University of California at UCLA, she began working on her Master's of Music degree at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. She earned that degree in 2008, once again graduating as a class valedictorian. She often gives keynote talks for organizations on as diverse as Genentech, the Dallas Symphony, South by Southwest, TEDx, and Ogilvy, along with frequently invited to talk at conferences and academic institutions. She has 4 online courses: Essential Scientific Concepts, Brain Myth Exploded, Lessons from Neuroscience, the how digital technology shapes us, and the creative brain, and they are all accessible to the public. And they're like 24-hour courses. And many of them are available on Audible as well. Um, Dr. Visconti's creative work includes stage directing opera. She is a creative director of Pasadena Opera, where she has directed several operas in the recent years. Currently, she is an associate professor of psychology at the University of San Francisco, where she runs the Creative Brain Lab. And this is a quote directly from her. Sometimes where you end up when you jump is a much more interesting place than where you would have been had you continued walking along the path.
And as always, you bring us such amazing scientists that correlate always to the theme of what's happening. And we thank you
Yeah,
for that. She's an amazing scientist. You can combine
yeah.
science, and music because science is beautiful.
And so one of the side things, I didn't find much on it, but I did read a blurb on it that she's trying to use music to help prevent and cure Alzheimer's, to like heal people and to bring, because sometimes when you listen to music, you're triggered, and not so much like triggered, but like you like Devin, if you heard the Klaus Encounter soundtrack, you'd remember being a child in that car at the movie.
Yeah.
So she's using music like that to help people find themselves, and that's what she's working on at the Brain Lab.
And excellent. Now, Tiffany's not here with us tonight. However, she did send in a video of what Tiffany's watching. So we're still going to give her her intro. And Tiffany's going to virtually take it
Take
away
it
from the
away.
space station that she's at.
Hey guys, Queen of the Nerds here. Sorry I couldn't be actually there, but I'm still going to tell you what I watched this week. And of course, I have my notes. This week I binged watched season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, all in one sitting. So, in my opinion, the 4.5 Vulcans episode was the weirdest one. And that's saying a lot, seeing as there was a 1930s era murder mystery episode. So, yeah, but that was the weirdest episode for me. The wedding episode had me so sad for Spock. Like, I almost turned it off. It was almost too much. But I am happy for Christine. I didn't really ever see her with Spock anyway. I was happy that he was happy at the time, but I'm happy that Spock moved on and finally got with La'an. I love Uhura and the Ortegas. With Beto as her boo, because give my girl a boo. And then with Erica as her bestie, that episode when she wanted to go to all the lengths to save Erica, her bestie. I love that Erica also got the opportunity to grow and to know that every species has the bad apples. There's also members of that species who are just being. They're just existing. They're not really a part of the things that the bad apples are doing. Case in point, in that episode, she befriends a born. I don't know. I'm getting confused. She befriends the Gorn pilot who also is crash landed on this moon and through the black hole, and also with a malevolent being watching them. That episode had a lot. I'm sure we'll see that malevolent being again later on too. So let's keep an eye out on that for next season. The return of Kirk, still First Officer Kirk. But I love that episode where he had to assume the captain's role. It's just giving us a little glimpse into him eventually stepping up into the captain role. And also, he still is holding a little flame for La'an. He sees that she's moved on with Spock, but do you guys see that coming in the future? The finale had me in shambles. Marie gaining cosmic abilities in order to become the guardian of the Vesda to keep them in their prison. It broke me, knowing that I knew something was leading up to a bad moment for her just based on how the season began. But I just thought she was just going to be separated from Pike for a while. Also, her being able to play out their lives together so he could see and have those memories from her. Ugh! It hurt me, but I loved it at the same time. Also, quick note, did anybody else feel like it was giving Doctor Who? Okay, it felt very Doctor Who in the end. Dr. Corby as a character was on my last nerve, but I love that his research is going to lead us into the next season with the new discovery of these new planets and furthering the 5-year mission. I thought this season was great. It definitely had me clutching my pearls. For a tiny little tidbit, guys, there are only going to be 2 more seasons of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So take all the crumbs you can get.
That was amazing. That was pretty
Yes.
much season 3 in a nutshell for sure.
Yes.
Yes, and I have to agree with my girl in a lot of her assessments going on there.
Yes.
But we have come to the end of our show for tonight. And before we go, we're going to let you guys know the Sci-Fi Queens will be taking a break. And we're going to be returning. We're going to take all of December and the rest of November off. And we're going to be returning on January 2nd, 2026. We are going to do the Beginner's Guide to Sci-Fi, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I am so excited about this episode. And we're going to be doing a bit of a series with this, guiding people through the different sci-fi TVs and movies and sort of let you know what's the best way to watch it. If you haven't watched that series, if you're new to science fiction and you kind of want to know what's going on and how to watch shows that are already established and already out there, we're going to help you through that journey. We will be back January 2nd, 2026. Follow us on all our social medias because that's where you're going to see some highlights and some information. And you know that although we are on hiatus, there might be some surprise coming up in December that I might be throwing out at you guys to keep you guys engaged. And if there's anything you guys want to see any type of episode you want us to do, leave it in the comment section after the show is over, because that way we can go back to it and we'll put it on our list and see what we can come up with and work with you to bring you something that you want to watch. And we do want to take this time off to kind of refresh and regenerate and kind of get our bearings and celebrate the holidays coming. So we wish everyone.
And me and Tiffany have kids, so
Yes, yes,
and the
Sarah.
holidays are about the kids. Yes,
Yes, and kids need their, parental time. Um, so we want to wish everyone in the United States a happy Thanksgiving, if you celebrate it, and happy New Year, Merry Christmas to everyone
happy
watching.
holidays, all of the things.
Happy holidays, all of the holidays out there. We want to wish that you have the best holiday season, and we're going to be putting out some clips throughout December, some announcements throughout December. So keep watching and keep following us. And thank you guys so much for everything. And good night to you all. And we'll see you January 2nd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for watching the Sci-Fi Queens. And be sure to support us on all our social medias. And check out our website,